Hello everyone, we are on the next part of the episode of the Truman Show, and I think my guess is the very powerful person who have something connect with the true, because going to the next level of the awareness, of the consciousness, using many different methods. And I'm really glad you are with me because we have so many things to common, and I think you are a very grounded person and at the same time, spiritual on the, positive way. So please welcome everyone, Maxwell, honey. It's correct what I say?
And Maxwell Honey's right, brother. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Excited.
man, I'm really glad, because I have a few questions, and to be honest, I want to even start from this. Of
Sure.
course you take care of the, being a facilitator, shaman, however people call you, of the ayahuasca, of the plant medicine. And I want to ask you about such a controversial things, because I used to have many people who have a different opinion about this. So there's two versions of this. One, we know that the traditional way, the old school things called ayahuasca from Peru, the brew one, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
which we need to prepare and everything. And we know also, because it's part of the journey, what I experienced as well with the many people, very very good people, call this like the ayahuasca from the acacia tree and from the Siranru, when many people say analog
Yeah.
ayahuasca. So do you know something about this one, and can you give me opinion about this one?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot here. Yeah. So, I mean, just starting off, I would say, so acacia and Syrian rue, if you're making, it's definitely not considered ayahuasca, right? Traditionally, like that
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be the name of the medicine. But I would say experientially and somatically, the experience with that medicine is remarkably similar. So I've had the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity on a number of occasions to sit with that preparation. Um, I would say you have to go a little bit more into kind of the ethos of the curanderos. You kind of have to look at things through the lens of what the indigenous peoples would say about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about ayahuasca, I mean, the vine, the cielo vine, is considered to be ayahuasca, the spirit of ayahuasca, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you're interacting with traditional Peruvian or Brazilian ayahuasca, you're interacting with what those cultures consider to be the spirit of that plant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that spirit has a particular, what do you want to say, energetic. It has a particular energetic. The way that it operates, the way that it comes through your consciousness is very particular to that form. In my
Mm-hmm.
experience, acacia, I could say, like, visually and energetically, there's a lot of similarities, but the acacia brew doesn't, it doesn't hit the, I don't know, it doesn't seem to have the same personality
Mm-hmm.
that like Peruvian ayahuasca has. It's very effective. I mean, I know Taiwanese people coming to Thailand actually working with
Yeah.
acacia, and they think it's just remarkable. And again, I've tried it. I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it has a different feel to it for sure.
Do you think also because of the story, behind this, like, when we know much things also on the logical way, from Peru, from the shaman, even from the, social media, from movies, from stories, right, from other people. So do you
Totally.
think it's also make some, some impact why people can, feel different about the, this, this I can say plants, because like I also thinking both are natural, but the same things, the things from Peru, you need to brew, you need to cook, right, you need to boil,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So the acacia from the, which is, it's also connect with the DMT. If you connect these two, it's basically straight from the tree and straight from the seeds, right, which you
Yeah.
just connect, and you don't need to boil it. And which I have, so much conversation because people say, oh, yours not natural. I say, wait a minute, acacia from, I mean, ayahuasca from the Peru, you need to, personally you need to cook. There's no way on the natural
Right.
way you can boil this and everything. You need to have a fire, you need to have a person, basically, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I said more natural. It's also the one. It's not me like which one is better. I also
Right.
I'm
Right.
because I try to be like logical and open about this one. But many times people attack me, like special people who only work with the brew from the ayahuasca from Peru, because they said, it's fake, which I also don't agree, because I believe like both are plants, both have a special, specific, energy, and
Right.
also the location. It can be point because you cannot expect people in Asia to like travel to Peru, especially like let's say 100 years ago. It was quite different. So they use things what they have to the biological things have the same things like DMT,
Right.
right?
Right. Totally. Totally. No, I agree with you, brother. Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, 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 because it was just a cut something. Yeah, so
Oh, the
I'm
connection.
listening
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah. So, no, I generally agree. I think that, I mean, I encounter this a lot as well. So, I mean, just to say, I'm not I wouldn't necessarily shelve myself in the category of like traditional shamanism necessarily, because I come from a very therapeutic background. I tend to think of psychedelic medicines, and even the word. I mean, I'm going off on a little tangent, but even the word medicine. I mean, I think that even that word is being used inappropriately a lot with what we're talking about. I mean, if you're thinking about a medicine as something you take to get better, and then when you're better, you don't take the medicine anymore. But in the space of like ayahuasca shamanism, you have a lot of people just going back and back and back and back, just continuing to drink medicine and not necessarily getting the healing. So, I mean, there's that level of discourse that I think people need to have. But yeah, back to what you were saying about the acacia, I think that any medicine that activates kind of the endogenous chemistry of our own bodies, as far as I'm concerned, if it's giving an effect that is therapeutic, I don't think there's a fake or not fake or better or worse. I think it's completely subjective. And I've experimented with
Hmm.
literally everything, everything from synthetic to natural.
Hmm.
I've tried it all. And as far as I can tell, the medicine that you're taking is just to activate an opening in yourself. So you're just activating this endogenous
Hmm.
opening in your own energy, and then once you activate your own experience, it goes where it goes, and you can access the same spaces regardless of what you're taking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's makes sense because you talk, logically, and like also I discover many people like just go full in with the spiritual things. They forget, to be grounded, to see, like you said, what is effective, what makes some purpose. The same like what kind of people you attract. You said you don't call yourself like a shaman, because you
Right.
call, from the therapeutical, side, which is also, great because, like, especially now we need to hear more voices when it's more logical. We hear even Joe Rogan talk a lot about the, psychedelics, which open,
Right.
new level of understanding, and it's great. Basically, it's a, it's amazing, person behind things what we experience also, and big supporter from the, using, psychedelics on the many different ways. He talked a lot about mushroom, of course, LSD and like DMT and everything in general. So it's a
Right.
big supporter of the not only about the therapeutical way, but also about our history and understanding on the world. He always compared this as a key to our evolution, which I'm
Right.
also agree because the vision, the things what we experienced through the journey, it's it's building up our consciousness and our understanding
Yes.
and even ideas, and it's very open. So we are also lucky. I don't know if you know about this news, but I think you are updated. Like in Thailand, the psychedelic, I mean, sorry, the mushroom become delegalized from the list. Did you
Right.
hear about this?
I don't know about the most recent update. Maybe you have to tell me. But yeah.
Yeah, so you can basically they take out the psychedelics. I mean, the sorry, mushroom psilocybin from the drugs, like like the list of the drugs. So you can use, of course, you cannot use like a recreation. It's only for the medical use, but it's not anymore like illegal.
Okay.
So it's a good news, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
news, I
amazing
think.
news.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
there's yeah, there's like a process that you have to go through, I imagine, to be able to like serve psilocybin, probably, right? I mean, there's like some kind of legal steps you have to take to get to the point where you can give it to people. I would guess.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's also like tell me like your understanding about the or like your belief system about psychedelics, in general. Like you think it's something what everyone need to experience on level, or you think only on the some situation when they are depressed, when they struggle, when they have some problem, when in general, face some issue in their life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big question, brother. I'll see if I can make it succinct. So on a first note, I mean, I definitely I've become more conservative, I would say, over. So I've been in the space. Wow, I mean, I've been in this space myself, and then serving for a little over 15 years, and 20 years of just like pretty intense work myself. I originally I was very much on the psychedelics are going to change the world and save humanity kind of page. I was pretty full on, totally in. That's changed a little bit, and I guess I should qualify why that has changed. So here's a way that I'm thinking about it right now. This is like very recent. We're having the situation in the world right now is remarkably intense. I feel like over the last, I don't know, 5, 7 years, it's just the more and more people who are coming to medicine are expressing very high levels of stress, remarkably high levels of like personal stress. And because I come to this from this therapeutic point of view, if somebody's coming to a psychedelic medicine, doesn't matter what one, really, it doesn't matter, and they're in what we would call hypoarousal, they're in fight or flight, they're in dorsal vagal activation. This is all nervous system terminology. So they're very upregulated. Giving a psychedelic to somebody, if they're in that state when they consume a psychedelic, is remarkably dangerous as far as I'm concerned. I actually think that the only way to approach that situation with people who are in that very stressed nervous system state is you have to do a number of things beforehand to prepare their physiology to receive the medicine. If you don't do that, the chance of having panic attacks, mania, psychosis, these sorts of things goes up exponentially. And I've seen this a lot more, again, I'd say in the last 5 years, more or less, like the last 5 years. So that was actually a transition point for me personally. I actually had a period maybe 3 years ago where I was thinking about hanging it up. I was thinking about kind of getting out of the space because it was so remarkably difficult. The people that were showing up for medicine were not in a space where I felt comfortable putting them into that place. It's changed. I've developed protocols, and we do lots of things to help prepare people for the experience that has improved this, dramatically improved this. But even still, even when you have a lot of knowledge and you have all of these approaches that you're doing to help prepare people, it's still because things are just so crazy. I mean, just, I do a lot of integration work with people from the United States. And I mean, just the collective situation in the US right now is so insane that people are doing medicine, and then it just seems in some cases to just get their nervous system in a spiral situation where they're more manic, they're more fearful, they don't understand reality anymore. It's like they go into all this other space. And so really I'm always like, again, very conservative, just telling people like it's more about coming back to your body. And this is one of the reasons I was excited to talk to you, because we're both martial artists. But I mean, I've even turned people away and been like, look, you just need to do some yoga. You need to go do some jujitsu. Like, forget about psychedelics. Just forget about it. Just go train and get back in your body again and start to reconnect with your body so you feel safe in your body again. And then maybe in a year or two, you can come to the medicine,
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think it's very visible for me, especially when I came to Thailand and I see people in the Kopangan who are like, seeking for the more, I can say, like a trip than really like understanding what's going on, So that's why I realize, I was on the like a facilitator, I do, also breath work, right? I do, like a flow meditation, awesome. Many things like this. And awesome. Also like my experience with the psychedelics was very powerful, connect with the breath work, when I realized it's a very powerful method, which is can give you even a vision and the same, I can say the same trip if you're just talking about experience, because many people just, they're looking for the, experience of the visual, like a feeling and everything, and the breathwork can give you this one. So it's also like many
Totally.
people who just want to experience this one, they can find this through breathwork. And sometimes before ayahuasca, like mostly before ayahuasca, I did breathwork, and people say like, "Whoa, you gave us something already?" I was like, "No, like you gave us like LSD." I was like, "No, nothing, just the breathwork." And people
Right.
really shocked because it was very powerful. People have a vision. People have, journey, trip, and everything, which was very happy because it's also show like your body. It's allowed to do anything what you want, and you don't need basically use the psychedelic. It's
Right.
it's everything is produced by body. So when I
Yes.
go to Kopangan, I realize many people they take something but they do nothing the next day, and the next day they come back to the old style, old behavior. They don't get any lesson. They just have amazing experience with amazing visual, with amazing like trip, but there's
Right.
not much lesson where they don't know. Maybe they don't know how to apply. That was also my like like understanding. Like, okay, you have amazing lesson. You have something what you understand, but you don't know how to apply. Which I'm become like more aware about applying things, be practical, than not only about the guy who give the people like trip or high and everything, because sometimes it looks like this. People came to me like, "Oh, can I try this one? I hear it's great," and like,
Right.
it's
Right.
not about this one, and I try to like
Yeah. Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
like the same like you, just trying people to say, "Hey, maybe you should just change the job what you're doing, because if you don't
Right.
like what you're doing 5 days a week, doesn't matter what you take with me on the weekend, you come back to the same
Right.
loop, right? And nothing changed.
Totally.
And I see the
Nothing
many
changes.
people like, yeah, they're trying to like you escape from this one, but they're using the wrong things. It's all about, like you said, do martial arts, do meditation, like I wake up on the morning and do something, different, right? Like a
Right.
normal step by step, because the psychedelics sometimes can be, too much shock and they don't know how to apply. Even DMT, it's a trip when they give you so much,
Right.
like a boosted, experience, which is very hard to digest on the normal people system. So you are completely right, like about the life what we live right now. And I think like people need to just learn more about the self.
Yes.
And I'm happy, like you also saying, like even I know it's a it's quite loud things talk about the ayahuasca on the psychedelics, because people are seeking like a trip, right? So sometimes
Right.
people want to experience, but more about no more about the ego, and which is also work on
Yeah.
the spiritual way, like I always realize many people like the people spiritual have a bigger ego than normal people, because they are
Exactly.
putting like, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they
No.
try to like
Totally.
saying like, oh, yeah. So what do you experience about your people who come to you? Like this is also like percentage even, like how many people like looking for the experience trip, just to give them maybe some understanding what people really have some problem and want to fix, and maybe you even trying to like help them on some way.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, brother. It's a pretty wide spectrum. I'd say in the aggregate, it's a very wide spectrum. In the last couple of years, again, I'm going back to what I said before, but yeah, in the last few years, I would say I'm encountering more people who need a therapeutic approach. And when I say therapeutic, I mean what you just described. I mean an all-encompassing lifestyle revision. So like not being very upfront and honest with people that like the spiritual part is important, but as you said, without a practical plan to digest and understand and then embody what you're learning, it really doesn't really help people that much. And this is where I've gotten very conservative. I used to think, like I used to think that if you turned on and tuned in enough people, that in the aggregate, in the totality of humanity, you would have this inflection point where consciousness would shift and more people would wake up. But then I very quickly realized there's no golden pill. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't work like that. It's like, and for me, because I spend so much time talking about the language of the body and the nervous system, I think giving people a roadmap to understand their own reactions is a really big thing. So like giving people a language, giving them a new way to describe what they're feeling in their body is remarkably helpful. And I would say that probably the number one tool that I utilize is nervous system terminology, understanding your own reactions. Again, at the beginning, I said, this pendulum swing between like hypoarousal states, which the psychedelic experience is the most hypoarousal state you can have, right? It's upregulation, it's high adrenaline, your heart's beating, you're purging, at least with certain medicines, and you're flooding your body with chemistry. And what happens is, we know this from trauma studies now, but what happens is, you have the pendulum swing into hypoarousal. That pendulum has to swing back fully into downregulation and rest. And this is maybe the number one issue I notice is that, like you said, people will have this experience on the island, they'll have the experience on the island, and then they'll just go back to their normal life, and they won't give their nervous system and body time to digest and downregulate what just happened. And so, not only do they not necessarily get the benefits of what they could get from the medicine experience, but they're actually stressing out their nervous system even more than what it was before they took the medicine. And they might feel good. People sometimes will feel better for a couple of days, maybe even a week. They feel great. But guess what? At some point, the pendulum naturally swings the other way, and there's a crash. And when the crash happens, people come back and they're like, oh, I felt so good after the ayahuasca, and now I'm depressed, and I'm not getting along with my partner, and I don't want to go to my job, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, your question was about the kinds of people coming. I'm encountering a lot of people with post-traumatic stress. I'm encountering a lot of people who are in financial hardship. This kind of thing has gotten more obvious as of late. And the landscape has changed. And my conservatism about psychedelics, I don't ever enjoy telling somebody that they're not ready to have a really healing experience. Psychedelics are so amazing, and I want to tell everybody, hey, this is amazing, but I have to turn people away more and more, just ethically. I can't ethically follow through with everybody without really giving them the whole picture of what's going on. This actually brings up something that I listened to your last episode, brother, with Boris. I think it was Boris. And somewhere in the episode, you were talking about cannabis. You were talking about cannabis, and he was talking about, the creative aspect that he gets out of cannabis, how creative it is, and it helps him write and be creative in his work. And then I think you said something about that I really resonated with. It was about you were basically I'm kind of in a psychedelic experience all the time. And then you said at nighttime, the experience can be very strong for you. And that's kind of where I've landed. I've kind of landed in this place of it's not about the psychedelic medicine, and it's not about a substance. It's about living a psychedelic life. It's about starting to embody this really amazing energy and experience of just living a psychedelic life. And it's not really about taking more medicine, even though that can help jumpstart the process. But really, you have it all inside. You can do the breath work, you can do the TRE, you can do the martial art, and you can access so many of these states naturally without taking anything at all. And I think not enough people know that. I would say not enough people know that. Yeah.
It was deep. It's definitely like I said, you are very grounded, and your progress also about understanding. It's also make a lot of sense, because I think it's the same time we growing with our understanding. Because times change, situation change. Like you said, many people are more stressful. The many people are still a seeker when especially people who come to Thailand. It's how it is. You found yourself also here, because I think you are more than 2 years here, right? 2-3 years.
Oh, yeah. It's actually been almost 7. It's been almost 7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a long time. It doesn't feel like a long time though. We're in a wild place. Thailand's a amazing place.
you told me also, like, like you are more focused, like your main things now, it's like you said, it's a more connect with the, applying things with the people journey, with the people lifestyle, and how to apply,
Yes.
which is also like, quite, change, from the beginning, because you realize, I think, many, problems. And I want to add also something about, like you said, like the many people are not prepared, because if the people have, I think, two big demons, anything what they take, it just increased the emotion, right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
also I realized many, psychedelics, if you are happy, it's give you more happiness. If you, take basically anything, we don't talk also about even alcohol, even weed and everything, it just increase the level of the emotion. So you
Yes.
need to be on some state to even get something from this, because the trip and the experience can be, like can be extra baggage. Of course, sometimes we have good experience with the bad situation in life, which I'm also big fan of this one. Like I'm big fan, not be like a happy, I'm big fan of the, getting out from the problems and be stronger about this one, putting ourselves to this, not in the special way, but, like handle the situation, because we cannot get out
Right.
from the problems, but we can
Right.
learn how to, handle the problem. So I think, but, like you cannot put yourself to the fire because you can burn. So, that's the part, connected with the psychedelics, because sometimes the fire can be too big, and,
Right.
too much emotions, too much, the experience can be for someone, like, I don't say destroyed, because I think it's,
Sure.
people can handle many things, but it's so don't say like, to don't not say it's can be like this, like really damage for people, because I think on the end will be fine. But it's all about how can apply, how can be useful, and how can be safe as well, because
Right.
we are some part of responsibility for the people, right? And I think it's the why people come to you, because they can feel safe with you, and let's say they feel on the space when they can trust you. And I think is the part when you can attract these people to your life, which I'm also big believer, because everyone can use some different doctor, different, facilitator, or the healer. Oh, you go out.